anniversary of Roe versus Wade, they come here to say that we have no choice to any abortions, that they're trying to take our rights to reproductive justice. So we're here to say that no, we will reclaim our rights. Two, that we want to put forward an alternative that says everybody has the right to health care. Everybody has the right to health care. So that's why we're here today, and the speakers that we have are going to talk about that message. So the first speaker that we have is Elizabeth Lanyon, is the co-founder of San Francisco's Women's March. She has worked tirelessly for LGBTQ justice and grassroots organizing, having served as the co-chair of the San Francisco Dyke March, and most recently on the board of San Francisco Pride, and on the board of the Alice B. Toklas Democratic Club. Elizabeth works with the National Center for Lesbian Rights and brings an intersectional feminist approach to community empowerment for social change.
Hi everyone. Thanks so much for having me here today. I'm your Women's March co-chair, and thank you for giving us voice, for supporting the feminist agenda. As demonstrated last weekend, we know that when we come together, we can make really great change. And Women's March is a national movement to empower everyone who stands for human rights, for civil liberties, for justice for all. We support and advocate for the movements that represent our intersection identities, which is why we're here today. We believe in the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. We organize on behalf of women's rights and interests. So I stand here today for you, as a woman, as an out and proud lesbian, and as a radical feminist, to remind you that choice is among our greatest interests. It is in our power to create our own destinies. I guess that's why they call us nasty women, because we don't take this shit lightly. Oops, that's my same card. It's been 45 years since Roe versus Wade. Thank you for reminding us of that. And still we're battling. We're battling a history of undermining women's rights to make choices about our bodies and consequently our destinies. Our most personal choices should be free from government interference. And further, if that's not radical enough for you, no one should be telling me or any of you what to do with our most precious selves. My body is my business, my choices are my business, and I intend to keep it that way. Women's March calls on all defenders of human rights to come together for our collective fight. The fight for reproductive justice and LGBTQ equality share common roots. The freedom to live and love the way we choose and whom we choose. The fundamental right is choice. Attacks on reproductive justice and attacks on LGBTQ justice share a foundation of discrimination. And when our healthcare clinics close, queers and women are among those first to lose access, along with anyone else who doesn't fit our country's inequitable institutions for health care. These systems don't support us and continue to leave out our most marginalized. Our government doesn't represent our values of liberty and justice for all. So where does that leave us? Perhaps a new era. The rise of the divine feminine, a new time of awareness for and recognition of women's equal dignity, including our right to choose. Because let's face us, in this country, women's bodies are more heavily regulated than firearms. Protecting choice doesn't mean making decisions for anyone. Rather, protecting choice preserves every individual's right to do as they choose. Protecting choice protects essential education and access to contraceptives that put the power back where it belongs, among the 51.8% of people in this country who identify as women. Women's March believes that women's rights are human rights, that human rights are women's rights, and we must cultivate a society in which all women are free and able to care for themselves, to nurture their families and our communities. We can't do this alone. We need each other in this fight. Organize your community to take up issues affecting our safety and well-being, and educate yourself on opportunities for change, because we know that when we educate women, we educate and empower a generation. And finally, agitate the systems that work for liberation, that work towards liberation. Register people to vote and then get out and vote. I empower you all today. Thank you for being here. I'm a feminist. This is my superpower. I know it is yours. Let's do this together. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. So for our next speaker, we have Frances Reed, who is the Vice Chair of the East Bay Democratic Socialists of America.
Hello! So beautiful to see all your faces out here standing up for justice today. Reproductive justice is about freedom, having the freedom, the power, and the resources to have children or not have children, to make choices about your own body and your own future.
Right.
I stand here today as a victim of reproductive injustice. I suffer from infertility, which is a medical condition requiring medical treatment that often runs into the tens of thousands of dollars. 1 in 9 Americans of childbearing age also suffers from infertility. And in any other first world nation, the care that we need would be provided for free. But we live in America, where we have a system, a healthcare system, that exists to convert human suffering and human illness into profits for insurance companies and their CEOs. Boo! Infertility is not profitable for the insurance companies, so it's not covered. And for most people, that's where it ends. They don't have the money, they don't have the treatment, they don't get children. We've said here today in our lovely song we were singing that care shouldn't be determined by the church or the state, and insured shit should not be determined by the capitalist class. When there's a price on access to reproductive care, there can be no reproductive justice and there is no reproductive choice. That's why I'm so excited to be organizing with DSA, Democratic Socialists of America's Medicare for All campaign. Medicare for All provides universal coverage. That means everyone in, nobody out, regardless of citizenship status. It's comprehensive. That means medical care, dental, mental health, vision, everything covered. And it's free at the point of service, meaning no premiums, no co-pays, and no deductibles. We know that choice is meaningless without access to resources. There will be no reproductive justice until everyone has access to resources and everyone has the freedom and the power to make the right choices for their bodies and their futures. Thank you.
Thank you, Frances. Are there members of the Students United for Reproductive Justice? Yay! Actually, I'll let them introduce themselves because I did not. I want to make sure they're introduced properly.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Miranda Field Elliott.
And I'm Phoebe Abramowitz, and we are co-directors of the Students United for Reproductive Justice at UC Berkeley.
2 years ago, Adiba Khan founded Students United for Reproductive Justice, and we came on as co-directors with the idea to implement medication abortion at the UC Berkeley Health Center. Currently, no college health center in the country provides this procedure, which we learned was due to purely political reasons. The initiative came from speaking directly from students who, even in progressive Berkeley, face extreme barriers, both logistical and financial, to seeking medication abortion. We built a grassroots campaign to implement abortion at Tang and have been so excited to see our work inspire and create Senate Bill 320, which will put medication abortion in all UC and CSU campus health centers. In the political moment that we're in which we are constantly fighting for rights we already have, it is so important that we work to expand reproductive rights and justice, not just push for the rights we should already have.
Doing this work, we learned very quickly that most people in power were willing to give lip service to being pro-choice, but were entirely unwilling to make changes that make abortion accessible to all people. We were told over and over again that we were asking too much. It wasn't important enough, it was too risky. But abortion is healthcare, and students deserve meaningful access to our healthcare. We do not have to settle for only playing defense against misogynistic, regressive abortion restrictions. We can't settle for, no one likes abortion, but women should have choices. We don't have time to be our own opposition. There is work to be done. We do not have time to only focus on rich white women's rights without ever mentioning access. We must, can, and did demand more. This bill will allow students on every UC and CSU campus to push forward and get an abortion on campus. Students from Chico to the Central Valley to San Diego have all come together to demand their access.
And we need your help. This bill is going to the Senate floor on Monday, and if everyone can call their state senator and demand their access, that would be so important. And as this goes to the Senate floor, and as we push in the next coming years for medication abortion to be on every college health center nationwide, we need you all to be fierce advocates for young people and trust students with their reproductive rights and access. Thank you.
Thank you, Phoebe and Miranda. So for our next speaker, we have Rose Kay, who's a member of the San Francisco Democratic Socialists of America.
Hello. So I'm going to tell you some things you already know. Abortion is a human right. Freedom depends on bodily autonomy. And these people are never, ever going to win. They will not win because we will not let them win. We are strong and we are united, and we will stand up and fight these attacks on our autonomy with everything we have. Today we stand together to defend what we know is right. We also stand together knowing that we must advance a vision not only of reproductive rights, but of reproductive justice. The right to an abortion is fundamental to a free and just society, but so too is the right to have and raise children in safety and dignity if you choose to. We know that just access to abortion is not enough. We demand not just abortion access, but free and universal abortions on demand without apology. We stand united in our demand for free and universal access to contraceptives, to comprehensive sexual education, to fertility support, and to transgender health care. We stand united in our demand for prenatal care, free and universal child care, and access to healthy food and clean water. We stand united in our demand for true freedom of choice, the choice to abort and the choice to parent, free of coercion, oppression, and violence, both at the hands of individuals and at the hands of the state. To quote from a resolution written by my comrades at DSA-SF and adopted by our national organization, we believe that the right to shape the conditions of your labor, including reproductive labor, and the right to bodily freedom are fundamental human rights. As long as we live in a society that drastically restricts these rights, we will continue to fight for reproductive justice and bodily liberation alongside all other forms of social liberation. I know that everyone here today will continue to stand together and to fight together, and I know that we will win.
Thank you, Rose. So now we're going to lead off with some chants. So, when women's rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When women's rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When women's rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When women's rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When women's rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When trans rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When trans rights are
give it up to Mel for some amazing chanting. All right, so the next speaker we have is Britt Mormon, and I apologize. They are with the National Network of Abortion Funds.
Hey y'all, I'm Britt Mormon and I fund abortion with the National Network of Abortion Funds. I'd first like to give a big shout out to Access Women's Health Justice, our local abortion fund. Access and all of us at abortion funds across the nation work tirelessly to center folks who have abortions. We organize at the intersections of racial, economic, gender, and reproductive justice to ensure that everyone has the right to their own bodies. The founders of reproductive justice were women of color, and they taught us that all reproductive options, including abortion, must be accessible, legal, and supported for us to be completely free. As a trans person, I'm all too familiar with what it's like to not feel ownership over your own body. But I found refuge and family here in the Bay Area. Here, we are proud to be a community that represents a beautiful spectrum of intersecting identities. Here, we share a collective dream of a city in which everyone has the opportunity to thrive and flourish. So when folks come into our town and try and strip away our rights to abortion, our rights to live safely and authentically, our right to choose whether and when to have a family, you're damn right we won't tolerate it. The Walk for Life is nothing more than another attempt to stamp out these basic freedoms that we fight so hard for every day. Under the guise of protecting women, those who march against us today do so not only because they are intolerant, but because they fear what it looks like when we are able to stand fully in our own power. They fear a world that is just and equitable because injustice and inequality benefit them. So let's show them what that world looks like. Let's show them that we refuse to compromise our bodily autonomy, that abortion is a basic human right. Let's show them that we will not tolerate sexism, racism, classism, homophobia, transphobia, or any other hateful and oppressive form of discrimination that keeps us from being free. Today, as they march over there, let our message be loud and clear. Maybe they'll even be able to hear us. Not in our city.
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 All right, thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Britt. And so for our next speaker, we have Blanca Mise, a member of La Voz.
Hello, my name is Blanca. I teach at San Francisco State. I'm a member of CFA, the union that represents teachers there. Proud union member. And I was a member of UAW 2865, teaching assistants in the University of California. I'm here today, as you are, to protest the attacks on abortion rights in this country. I think, and we all agree that abortion rights are today under attack more than ever because we have the President of the United States appearing in a pro-life march in Washington saying those folks are right and women and people in this country that want to fight for abortion are wrong. But this has not begun today. Abortion rights in this country are under attack since 2001, 2002, when a series of measures began to be passed in state by state, restricting abortion. And you have today many counties in this country where women cannot get abortion, or in order to get abortion they need to see a counselor and a psychologist, and they need to go through all this like psychological trauma and guilt in order to have access, if they have access. Because we have a right that is a virtual right. We have a right that in theory exists, protected by the Supreme Court, but in practice it does not exist. It's not accessible to working class people. It's not accessible to people who live in states which are controlled by reactionary forces that prohibit women to have abortion. And I think it's very important for us to discuss on which grounds we define and we defend abortion and reproductive rights, because it does matter. Abortion rights is not a matter of religion. It's not a metaphysical discussion between religion and science. It is a question of political equality in this country. Because when you tell a woman or person of any gender that they cannot have access and control over their own body, over their own sexuality, that they cannot regulate their sexual intercourse, have pleasure, plan a family, when you're telling them there is someone else in this country who has a right to decide over them, you are creating inequality. This is not a democratic society. So to fight for full reproductive rights is a question of political equality. This is why we want free abortion on demand. We don't want to give any reason. We don't want to ask anybody why. The question why does not exist in a right. When you say I have the right to do something, you don't need to justify it. So this is what we fight. Free abortion. But also, abortion is not just a question of political equality. It's also a social right. It's a healthcare right. Because why do you have an abortion if then you don't have a clinic to perform it, or it costs thousands of dollars? This is why the fight for abortion is linked to the fight for free healthcare in this country. And this is why the comrades of the DSA and the comrades of ISO and all the socialists in this country were linking the fight for abortion to the fight for single-payer healthcare. Because we agree that single-payer Medicare is a step towards what we need, which is free, socialized medicine in this country that is provided by the state in public hospitals with unionized nurses, that is free and is accessible to everybody. And this is not impossible to get in the United States because this is the richest country in the world. So we can have free healthcare in this country that includes hormones, sex education, abortion, fertility treatments, and everything we need to plan our families and enact our freedom here. And I want to tell you something. I know it's really sad. It's really sad to be here in 2018 and have to defend the same rights our parents fought for. It's really demoralizing to be here today and have to again and again make the claim that we deserve to make a choice and we have the right to make a choice on our bodies. But we cannot give up. I come from Spain, and in Spain we also have a reactionary government led by Mariano Rajoy, el Partido Popular, who tried also to come back on the right of abortion. And there were massive demonstrations in our country, massive demonstrations in the streets, like the ones we saw last weekend. They were happening the weekends where the church will come to take away our rights, and we won. We won. In Poland, women are rising up. So today is the beginning of a movement, because on March 8th, we're gonna go on strike. We're gonna go on strike. We're gonna organize strikes, so come to our next meeting next Thursday, 7 p.m. in the Women's Building. Come to our next meeting because we're gonna start planning a real strike, a 1-hour strike, coordinated nationally with our sisters and brothers in New York, in Chicago, but also we're in touch with people in Spain, in Argentina, and many other countries. Now, the last thing I wanna say today is that to put up this demonstration, we needed money. Because we don't get money from the corporations, we don't get money from the church, we get money from working people in this country that believe for our rights. So I'm gonna be pestering you with this box, because we need to reimburse and pay for the rooms we rented to organize, the flyers we printed, the sound system. So please, when you see me around, donate a couple bucks, because this is the beginning, and we're gonna keep fighting to win back our rights and expand our social rights. Thank you.
Thanks, Blanca. That means I don't have, please donate. And then come to our next planning meeting. We have flyers going around. So definitely take one. Elena has a few, and they're circulating. Next, I have both Lita Blanc, the president of the United Educators of San Francisco, and Susan Solomon, the vice president of the United Educators of San Francisco.
All right. We'd like to do like the youth. So here we are up here to tell you that United Educators of San Francisco, we are a union of 6,000 members. The vast majority are women, and UESF is committed to protecting the hard-earned rights of all women to reproductive choice. Reproductive rights are essential to achieving equality on and off the job. Reproductive rights mean having affordable access to affordable health care, including access to birth control and the right to abortion. Before I go on, I do want to do a little chant. Let's say, I'm going to say my body, you say my choice. My body,
my choice.
My body,
my choice.
One more time, my body,
my choice.
So, unfortunately, we know that the attack on reproductive freedom has been going on for too long. Today, California is one of how many states that still that do not have parental consent? Do you know how many states? It's only 13. Okay? We have to turn that around. Today in California, young women do not have to ask anybody's permission to get birth control or testing or treatment for STIs, HIV. That's how it is, and that's how we're going to keep it, and we want to regain that freedom for young women all over the country. Are you willing to fight to preserve those rights? As teachers, as nurses, as social workers, as instructional aides, our members, day in and day out, have the job of helping students understand the world they live in and the role that they can and should play. In order to do so, we need, as educators, to be able to talk to them openly about our own feelings, about the facts of society as we see them today, and let them know that the same forces that today are fighting to privatize our schools, defund public education, are those same forces that are fighting to take away your reproductive rights and our collective bargaining rights. Our contract in USF is one of the few teacher contracts that preserves academic freedom, and our academic freedom is essential to be able to promote reproductive rights for all the young women coming up through our classrooms today. Are you willing to help us fight with us to protect our academic freedom? All right, thank you very much. Here's Susan Solomon, Executive Vice President of United Educators.
Thank you, Lita. Good morning. When I was a teenager growing up here in San Francisco, women older than I am fought for my right and won my right and our rights to reproductive freedom. And even though it makes me, and I'm sure us, angry that we have to fight this fight again, and still, it is so encouraging and so hopeful that there are millions of young people around the country willing to take up the fight, and so we just keep on winning the rights that we should have. So as Lita said, over 70% of our members are women. So this actually is an issue that matters to most of our members, and to, of course, the men in our groups too. And so we need to make sure that when a teacher or a paraeducator or a social worker needs the medical procedure that's called an abortion, that she can have one. Back in the 1800s, so we have a list of the rules that female teachers had to follow in the 1800s. They had to wear long dresses, they couldn't be married, couldn't have kids, couldn't be seen in public with a man who wasn't their father or their son. So at least we've made some progress. When I was in high school, I could only wear pants to school on Fridays. So again, we were making progress. We can't let ourselves go backwards. So not only are we educators, but in order to be good educators, we have to be good learners also. So there's something I learned recently from my son who works at Planned Parenthood. I was saying I refuse to use the term pro-life to identify people who are anti-abortion. We are pro-life. We can't let them take that away from us. I said they are anti-choice and we're pro-choice. But he took it a step further, and I see it on signs all over here. He said, we have to say the word abortion. It's not good enough to say pro-choice. We are pro-abortion. It is a medical procedure that some women need and should be able to get, and it should be free and legal and accessible. So let's keep loving and keep fighting. Thank you. Thank you. And then next we have Bertha Hernandez of the Left Party.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Sorry, I can't go here. I'm going to speak in Spanish. I hope like the majority of you do. Because you live in San Francisco or in California. Las compañeras estaban hablando de un derecho que se ganó hace tiempo, se ganó hace 40 años. Y este derecho no ha estado ganado por completo. Durante 40 años hemos tenido ataques y retrocesos he ido para atrás y para atrás con más y más limitaciones. Y durante estos 40 años, mujeres, miles, cientos de miles de mujeres en el mundo y en América Latina, de donde yo vengo, no han tenido ese derecho. Y continúan muriendo. Este derecho tiene que ser no solamente defendido en este país, sino extendido al resto de los países donde todavía no existe. Y este derecho ha sido no defendido fundamentalmente por ninguno de los dos partidos dominantes de este país, ni los republicanos, pero tampoco los demócratas. Y es por eso que estamos en esta situación. Aumentan los golpes, aumenta el retroceso y nunca se estabiliza y nunca lo podemos lograr como un derecho absoluto de la mujer. Y tenemos que cambiar eso fuertemente. El otro aspecto que creo que es muy importante, estoy viendo amigos y saludo porque así soy, sorry. La otra cosa que es muy importante es no solamente son las fuerzas reaccionarias que sostienen esto. Hay una fuerza reaccionaria que tiene nombre y apellido y es la Iglesia. Y en particular la Iglesia Católica, que hace todo lo posible para tener dominadas las conciencias de miles, de millones de personas y que lo hacen en este momento con la marcha que va a suceder del otro lado. Y es una marcha que se encarga, es toda una teoría, todo un programa para poder controlar las mentes con mentiras en contra de la ciencia y en contra de las cosas que nosotros sabemos de lo que es el aborto en términos de un procedimiento quirúrgico, médico, necesario, que es necesario que lo tengan todos en el momento de poder acceder a él. La Iglesia Católica nos llena de mentiras y llena de mentiras a nuestras comunidades. Llena de mentiras, por ejemplo, la comunidad latina de gran manera. Y esta marcha tenemos un montón de nuestra gente marchando en esa marcha. Como si fueran todos ellos apoyadores de sus demandas y estuvieran en contra del aborto. Y no es así. Y por eso es muy importante que movimientos como el nuestro vayan a otras comunidades. Porque el movimiento por el derecho al aborto, hay miles, millones de mujeres luchando, mujeres latinoamericanas, por el derecho al aborto en América Latina. Y esas mujeres también están luchando en este país. Es por eso que nosotros tenemos que ir a esos lugares, invitarlas, traerlas, hablarles y hacerlas partícipes de este movimiento para que seamos muchísimo más fuertes. Gracias.
Gracias, Berta. So I'm going to lead us off on some chants. So this one is a little bit longer, but it goes, hands off our bodies, the state off our bodies, the church off our bodies, everybody get off our bodies. All right. Hands off our bodies, the state off our bodies, the church off our bodies, everybody get off our bodies, hands off our bodies, the state off our bodies, the church off our bodies, everybody get off our bodies, hands off our bodies, the state off our bodies, the church off our bodies, everybody get off our bodies, hands off our bodies, the state off our bodies, the church off our bodies, everybody get off our bodies, hands off our
people are feeling a little restless, but we only have 4 more speakers left, and then we're going to go and march and confront the Walk for Life. And by confront, I mean politically confront. So our next speaker is Marissa Seiko with the Family Violence Law Center.
I work as a domestic violence and sexual assault advocate with the Family Violence Law Center in Oakland. Thank you. The last few months, crisis lines across the country have seen a surge in calls, and we've seen our social media pages and our news feeds overflowing with devastating Me Too stories from public figures, from coworkers, friends, family, and some of us have been brave enough to tell our own stories and finally break the silence. For those who feel comfortable to raise your hands, how many of you know someone or yourself have been a survivor? The reality is, whether we know it or not, every person in this crowd has been impacted by this epidemic in our society. And I've heard far too many stories about boyfriends sabotaging birth control, about devastating miscarriages caused by abuse, about coping with lifelong STIs following an assault, about how terrifying it is trying to figure out how to afford having another child when you're struggling with every fiber of your being to keep the ones you have housed, healthy, and safe. I want everyone here today to know that no one has the right to violate your consent or to use reproductive violence or coercion against you, regardless of how famous he might be, how funny his jokes are, or how politically powerful he is. And just like we as a society must no longer tolerate these harms against us, those who would abuse their power on an intimate level, we also must not tolerate predominantly male legislators and the sexist fundamentalist far right trying to restrict our ability to make our own reproductive choices, whether they're in Washington, D.C. or marching in the streets of San Francisco. If the Walk for Life demonstrators truly care about what's best for women and children, they would be marching in these streets for equal pay for equal work. For our government to invest in high-quality childcare, and for hard-working childcare providers to make a true living wage. For affordable health care for everybody. For our neighborhoods to be safe places to grow up, not just for wealthy white children, but for all children. Instead, they are marching to uphold the patriarchal, white supremacist status quo that says a handful of powerful men know better than we do what's right for our bodies, for our families, and for our communities. I want everyone in this crowd today to know that these are our streets and these are our bodies, and no one can take that away from us. Not by force, not by fear, and not by federal legislation.
Thank you, Marissa. Oh yeah, Sarah Rourke. Okay. Sorry. Next we have Sarah Rourke, who is on the steering committee of Refuse Fascism.
Hello. I'd like to thank ISO for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. It's wonderful to see so many different groups, so many different kinds of people out here today to speak up for women's rights. Let me start off by begging your indulgence. I'm badly cast for this role. I'm not a revolutionary. I'm not a radical. I'm your basic queer feminist, progressive liberal. Not that that's a bad thing, but nice. But these are not ordinary times, and we can no longer afford to be our ordinary selves. Something more is going to be demanded of each of us, every single one of us. Just a few won't cut it. We need a solidarity in the human rights community that we haven't seen in this country for decades. Now, I want to clear the air about our name, Refuse Fascism. We get a lot of people saying, you can't use the fascism word, that's scary. Well, I'm sorry, but what is going on is scary. What is happening to women's rights is scary. What's happening to queer rights and trans rights is scary. What is happening to the religious oppression, the resurgence of religious oppression in our country? They're considering a 20-week abortion ban right now in Congress. That's scary. So, we have to come together. We must call things by their names. Fascism is a scary word, but it is accurate. I don't use it lightly. I've researched the definition. I've read many scholars. This administration fits the profile of a government attempting to consolidate a fascist rule, a white supremacist rule, a misogynist rule, a dominionist rule. So that means each and every person here has a stake in this fight. And as Refuse Fascism, as a diverse coalition of people whose one demand is that Trump and Pence must go, we invite all good people of goodwill to join us in the streets for nonviolent direct action. Yesterday we were blocking the vans, the exit for the vans at ICE headquarters. Because we have to be there for our immigrant brothers and sisters who are a target of this regime. We're going to be there for the rights of women who are a target, for the rights of Latinos who are a target, for the rights of gay people, for the rights of trans people, for everyone that is threatened, for Muslims, everyone that is threatened by this regime. We must all be there for each other. Nobody goes under the bus. There's been far too much of that. It has to end. It has to end, or as Pastor Niemöller pointed out, it's going to get to all of us eventually. So, again, I ask you to join us. I ask you to come to our website, refusefascism.org, our Facebook page, Refuse Fascism Bay Area, or this is the easiest one you can do right now. Text For Humanity. That's the number 4 Humanity to 33222 to get alerts on our direct actions and our meetings. I hope we have a wonderful march today. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sarah. And so for our next speakers, we have Martha and Renee of Code Pink.
No, just stand down here. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Code Pink is a women's-led peace and social justice organization. No justice, no peace. No social, no reproductive justice, no peace. Women are often total victims of war. They're raped as tools of war. We need to stand up for all women and say, never again. I carried this coat hanger in 2006 in an abortion rights march. I'm out here again. Code Pink will always stand with all of you women. Thank the ISO for having this rally. Thank you all for coming, and you look beautiful, and it's a nice, diverse crowd. No justice, no peace. And Martha's going to lead a chant for us. Thank you.
Okay, the words are pro-choice, your name's a lie. You don't care if women die. Pro-choice, your name's a lie. You don't care if women die. Pro-choice, your name's a lie. You don't care if women die. Pro-choice. I'm so sorry. Wait. I said choice instead of life. Start over. Pro-life, your name's a lie. You don't care if women die. Pro-life, your name's a lie. You don't care if women die. Pro-life, your name's a lie. You don't care if women die. Let's march!
One more speaker and then we will march.
this rally. It wasn't just the International Socialist Organization. We could not have done this without every other group and all of you who are not part of a group showing up to planning meetings and showing up today. So thank you to all the groups, all the endorsees. I'm sure if you're here, you've been paying attention, so you know that abortion access in this country is plummeting. There are states where it is almost non-existent. Women and people who need abortions have to take days off work, drive for hours, pay thousands out of pocket to access necessary health care. In addition, attacks on abortion clinics are ramping up. Between 2015 and 2016, they ramped up threefold. There were 3 times as many massive pro-life, in quotes, rallies, and people storming into clinics to harass patients. What this means is that staying home isn't working. Being quiet isn't working, and trusting the people in power, like the Democrats, isn't working. But you know what will work? Is this. We have power. The people have power, and showing up in solidarity for each other, for people who can't be here, and for people who haven't yet realized that they need to be here, is what will work. In a moment, we will show what we are all capable of. And on Thursday, I want every single person here to try to come to our next planning meeting, because the fight is not over. There is the International Women's Day on March 8th, and we need to plan actions then. And we need to plan actions next year when these bigots try to come back to our city. So since it's my favorite chant, I want to do hands off our bodies, just 2 rounds of it. So, well, after me. Hands off our bodies, the state off our bodies, the church off our bodies. Everybody get off our bodies, hands off our bodies, the state off our bodies, the church off our bodies. Everybody get off our bodies.
Thank you, Alina. Okay, who's ready to march? All right. So here's our march plan. Everyone follow our banner. Thank you to San Francisco Democratic Socialists of America for making it. Everyone follow the banner and the drums. And basically we're going to walk towards the intersection, take a right on the crosswalk, and the march leaders will safely lead you onto the street, where we will march for 2 blocks and start picketing in time for the march or the walk for life as they walk by. Does that sound like a plan to everyone? All right, and then also when we get to 5th and Market, again, we want to remind folks that we're politically confronting the walk for life with our signs and our chants and making sure that we're loud and visible. All right, excellent. Thank you. All right, let's go.
Bye guys, I'm gonna march now.